We're live.
We are live. Well, actually, we're not live while you're listening to it, but we are here with Ben and Will. You heard Will. Hi. Ben, you want to say hi?
Mm-hmm. I do. Hi.
And then as usual.
And we have a guest with us today. His name
Daddy
is
Herb.
Daddy Herb. He is a client at Coastal Strength and Fitness, so he's gonna bro out with us, chop it up. Interject. You want to say what's up, Herb?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Happy to be here. Hey.
So you want to just so everyone can get a little background information, kind of fill them in on your deets. Remember back in the day on like when we had AIM and you would hit up a chick and you go ASL.
And then your little profile had a bunch of shit in it, whatever it was.
Why don't you give us a little ASL, little age, sex, location?
Oh man. So 34, male, and Newport News, Virginia.
There we go. Too bad he's taken.
So I'm from the area. I was born and raised in Norfolk, and met my wife, and she's from this side of the water, and moved out to the peninsula in like 2012, and I like it here. It's different from the south side.
Yeah, big time.
I still find myself over there quite a bit, but
yeah, me too.
This feels like home. So.
Can't take the south side out of me.
You know what's funny? Like I learned since I moved and I've been over here. So say you have to go somewhere and say it's whatever, like 12 miles away. You just think, hey, that's the place I'm going to. Over there, like it can actually not be that far. Like from say Hampton to Norfolk, be like 7 miles. But because of the bridge and the water and just that separation, it's like two different worlds. People are like, oh, the south side or the peninsula. Like I'd never go over there, and it's really not that far. So.
Yep. Nah, it's wild.
It's like the only reason why I would ever go past the tunnel would be to like go up to DC or Busch Gardens.
Busch Gardens, yeah.
Yep, exactly. That's how it was for me for the longest time. And it seems so far, but now Busch Gardens is like right there, and it's not a big deal, especially after driving that for so long.
Yeah, you tell people Newport News, it might as well be Richmond, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Florida. You know what? I'm just gonna go to Disney World instead.
Man.
Excellent. So I know you just hit your 1 year mark at Coastal. How's that been for you? Like kind of getting a year under your belt of training and everything. Were you a gym rat before? How was that?
No, absolutely not. So I would go on and off to the gym and just mess around. I'd had some major injuries in my 20s, and I put on some weight, and then like after I did all my rehab and got better, was able to do like full exercise. I'd shed all that weight, but it was like by not eating, like doing stupid stuff, trying to catch on like whatever fad diet or exercise. So the results would come, but then it wasn't anything that would last. Like I would get skinny and a little lean, but I'd put the weight back on, and then it was really just about like not having to buy new pants.
Yeah.
Because I've done that once, and I don't like ever plan on having to do that again.
Yeah.
At least not to go up in waist size.
So was it like a hard? So a lot of times, so what we notice is, so you're in your 30s, right? And that's a normal thing. In their 30s, people really like, they start to notice, they're gaining weight and their clothes fit different, and that's the thing. And then people get in their 40s, and then all of a sudden their blood work's bad, and they want to improve that. And then, eventually 50s. So what we're seeing now, though, is you have people in their 30s kind of taking more action. But the harder thing is a lot of people still, think, oh, well, in my 20s I could do it on my own. I don't need help, right? But when you get into your 30s, you have some kids, you get married, you have more priorities. It's important, or do you find that it was important to, kind of invest a little bit in it, by having a coach and trainer and gym to basically make you do it? Like, is that a key thing for you?
Absolutely. I would go to the gym and just mess around, but there would never be any real structure to it.
Just throw out for
just
an hour and a half.
I see somebody doing some weights, I'm like, I can do that too. But it was just me messing around, and it was never any consistency. And jumping head first into a place like Coastal where it's group sessions, it's a bunch of people that you don't know. That's definitely out of my comfort zone, and I wanted to do that, and it's been huge because I could always do the work. Like I can always do the exercise, I always wanted to exercise. I always see myself as wanting to be fit, but this is just taking it to a completely different level for me.
I know, and you want to talk about kind of how, because you have, how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Two kids?
Yep.
Dad life.
Yeah.
So like, I've seen videos and stuff, where your kids kind of chip in, or maybe you're doing like push-ups at home, and like, isn't that cool? Kind of how like you don't really have to say anything about it, but kids just notice like what you do, and it just kind of how it kind of trickles down like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Being able to set that example for them, I think would do well for them in the future. Maybe it translates into them playing sports or something like that, which would be cool. But just for them to see their dad active and things like that, I think.
It makes it a norm for them, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like, okay, so you on a weekend you either binge watch something on Netflix, or it looks like dad's moving around a lot. He doesn't really sit still. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do.
It's like eating well, right?
Hold up there, Ben. I do stuff on the weekend physically so that I can binge watch on Netflix guilt free.
Okay.
Fair enough. No judgment on the binge watching, but I'm just
you're trying to tell us.
I'm just saying,
banking your exercise for binge watching.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. We might need to work on that habit.
How have so also then too, Herb, with your, I noticed you posted some pictures, so where you've lost weight and you can see the abs coming in and everything. How much have you changed your nutrition over the last year? Has that kind of been like a gradual thing, or like something that you've worked on? What's up with that?
So that's really the toughest thing for me. I think even when I first joined, talking to Ben, I told him I eat like a trash can.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much just eat whatever and go hard at buffets, like three plate minimum,
Yeah.
plus dessert.
You gotta get your money's worth.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Like it's only like $10, but you still feel like you have to PR every time.
Yeah, every single time, dude. That's why.
But yeah, that was very much the norm for me, and trying to get the exercise and the diet or the nutrition just was very tough. But it started coming around like about the 6-month mark. I wasn't really looking to shed a lot of weight. I definitely wanted to change body composition, and I knew that I wasn't going to get there unless a little tweak started coming in.
Yeah.
You guys always talk about small changes, and I didn't. Just been constantly making small tweaks, and I think now, like, especially when I'm home and not traveling, I can control a lot of those things. Like I'm not very strict with the meal prep, but I do keep good food around, and I tend to eat, stuff that's the same all the time, like just like, meat, veggies, and rice. Like,
which is like key though.
I was pretty much eating that stuff already, but I just made small tweaks, like a little less rice, a little more meat, more vegetables, and those are things I already like to eat. But now I just put a premium on that, and those are like my favorite meals of the day.
That's what it's all about, man. And you slowly got there. From eating like a trash can to like meat and veggies at most of your meals.
Because that's the hardest thing to get rid of. Like I think if I would have just went all in from the start, I'd be falling into bad habits. Like I said, that on and off versus that gradual slide is what happens with that. So that's a good point. There's like a bucket of fried chicken on the table. I could have one. And then maybe not have 6 or 7 pieces.
Yeah. Right.
Down it and hate yourself at the end.
With all the rice.
Oh, man.
Well,
last time? I can't remember the last time I had fried chicken.
I don't know.
I'll eat it if it's there. Like if I'm at a cookout and there's fried chicken, I'll eat it. But it's never something I like say, oh, I want fried chicken.
I
And
definitely haven't stumbled across it
it's not
either.
something I roll across all the time.
Yeah, but in
you stumble across it. You find it.
Speaking on that, Herb, I remember that this will be something a lot of people will relate to. Like you were excited because we I don't like to use the word allow, but like white rice was like, oh, like, yeah, you can have some rice, you know, like, and you were pumped, like you didn't have to give that up or feel, you know. So I think a lot of people are so on this, like, oh, like on and off, good and bad,
Yes
you know,
and no,
like
yeah.
eliminate such and such, you know, like, and it just, even if it was a little better, even if, say, like eliminating grains completely was 100 was a little better, if it's not sustainable, it doesn't matter, you know. Like if you know, and that's the thing with, you know, some of these extreme diets like keto, right? Like eliminate carbs completely. Like, hey, maybe there is it works for some people, right? But if you can't keep that up for life, then you're not going to find a balance to be able to sustain it, right? So
that's really good, Gary. Like, just if it's not sustainable, it doesn't matter. You could probably stretch that out along a lot of different dietary plans, or even some of our stuff. Like you doing every single thing that Coastal says, like, but only for 2 months. I'm sorry, you're not gonna get anything out of that. You could do basically half of what we say, one thing we say,
but if you're
doing
it consistent,
then you're actually gonna get something out of it.
Yep.
That's why there's like this no one right answer, or at least it doesn't feel like there is, because really time is the right answer, or at least the thing we should all be thinking about. How long have I been doing this and keeping that consistent? Like, that was a crush. Yeah, I like how you put that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm Filipino, and my love affair with rice runs deep. Like, I mean, that sticky jasmine.
That's what it is, baby.
Sticky jazz.
You gotta tell me about that.
I'm like, man, and so, you know, I always thought, like, you know, to be able to, you know, cut weight and get lean, like, that needed to go, and that's very much the opposite. It's really just moderation. Like, I can have it on my plate, but maybe not dominate my plate.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like,
just fit it into whatever your goal is. Really.
Yeah. So, like, if I had a plate of rice, it would mostly be like half, you know, and it'd be that's like 2 scoops of high society. 2 scoops of high society, right? And then like some meat, and you know, now it's like, you know, a quarter of the plate.
Yep.
Replace that other half with more vegetables.
Some protein and veggies. Yeah. No, I like that.
And
it's really just sheer amounts.
Oof, man. So I've been eating that ground beef and rice like as a kid, but like I would throw like ketchup and stuff like that, or mix with eggs, like, you know, just whatever.
Eggs on beef and rice.
Oh my god. So like that's the kind of stuff I ate as a kid, and I would always, you know, I was very active as a kid, and you know, playing outside a lot, because that's what kids that grew up in that time did.
We used to go outside, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Kids listening now are like, what is play outside?
Is that an app? What is that?
So you know, that was my fuel back then, and it's very much the same thing now. Like, I can just brown up a couple pounds of ground beef, and I'd be good to go. You know? And my son likes it. So
I was gonna ask how your kids like it.
Good example.
My daughter doesn't like it, but we've turned her on to steak, and she is a
she's got that expensive
fan.
stuff.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Like, she can
she's
tell
got that.
when it's not. She can tell when it's
Where
not
you
a
bought
ribeye.
it?
Yeah.
It tastes different.
You gotta set the bar real high, real early then.
Yeah.
She's like, I like steak. I was like, oh.
you like
this
kind
of
The tops.
Give her like I
best.
don't know, give her something lean, give her a London broil, and she'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this horse meat? What is
I want a
this?
steak.
Chewing for days.
Yeah, my son was actually asking for ground beef and rice. So
Man, you got him
that always
started
makes me
early.
happy. Yeah.
Start them young.
Yeah.
Start them.
Dude, like,
young.
Your job is done, man.
That's
Oof,
No,
yeah, man.
That's
I, like,
my
pat
meal.
myself on the back for that.
Yep.
Like, no matter what, that still will probably be my favorite meal. Ground beef and rice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just hard to beat, man.
So
It's got
central.
everything you need.
Everything you need. Yep.
6
I always
days a week.
go,
This is life.
but like, I put taco seasoning on mine. I don't know how everybody else does it. That's my jam.
Oh no, that's. I mean, every once in a while you switch it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like garlic salt. Simple.
Yeah.
I go with soy sauce, but it's a lot. You know, it's high in sodium.
You know what I do sometimes? I go high shelf and get that. I go fish sauce.
Oh, that's
Fish
really.
And it's that one brand. It's like
We
it's
can't
that
read the label.
umami, that umami flavor.
Is that what you like, man?
Dude, I like that umami.
I bet you do. Damn, I gotta try that. I gotta get on that. Damn, I already made like 3 pounds for the week.
Yeah, you can't lose.
And Herb, you'll be delighted to know this, and we'll have to get into this on another episode. But sodium and salt, especially if you're training and eating mostly unprocessed foods, is really just my concern is people not getting enough actually.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like you need sodium for one, just to have everything work right,
Mm-hmm.
like all your muscles and your heart and everything, and to keep yourself hydrated. If you don't have enough sodium, then you're actually not going to retain enough water. Like you need a certain amount of water. You don't want to be bloated and look like the Michelin Man from eating so much salt, but you do need enough.
Yeah.
And that, when a lot of people switch to like non-processed foods, what happens is they don't add salt to anything. And then like beef doesn't really have any salt in it for the most part. It probably has a little bit, but the salt content's pretty negligible. So you're missing out on, a lot of stuff that's going to keep you balanced and like performing well.
Well, that flavor, you
Yeah,
need flavor.
Well, and
that's what life's all about. Like,
that's the perfect. And
something.
that's the perfect gauge, right? Like people always say, well, how much salt should I eat? Our taste is tuned to it. Like it lets us know. You know how when you eat something and it's like too salty, like you've had enough salt. Like that's your body telling you like you have sufficient sodium levels. And then you know how you'll be eating food and you just every time you add salt to it, it tastes better and better and better. Like that's your body telling you like, hey, you need a little more salt, a little more salt.
Yep.
So if you just get in tune with yourself, like you'll get the right amount. So. And the whole problem with sodium is that, restaurant food, packaged food is loaded with it. And then, so the average person eats tons of that stuff and then doesn't exercise, right? So it's a huge mismatch. So then they're taking in way too much sodium, not sweating and losing it. They're out of balance, right? But then you flip that. What happens is then people go and they get all, I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat better. Well, unprocessed foods basically has no sodium, and then you're sweating a bunch, so you're losing sodium and you're not intaking enough, then there's a mismatch. So it's almost the same mismatch, just in reverse,
It's opposite ends of the spectrum, yeah.
So it's funny, like most people who quote unquote health nuts need to eat more salt, and then like most couch potatoes need to eat less salt. So it's just
you know what, man, that's one of those things, and like, this is gonna get me fired up, but like the whole high blood pressure and salt thing, which is kind of, for the most part, for most people, kind of a misnomer. It's not even really that much of an issue. That's like based on one study, and it wasn't even that good of a study anyways, but that's kind of stuck around. People are like, oh, like, I don't want to eat too much salt because then I'll have high blood pressure or whatever. And it's kind of, especially if you're active, like that's not really a thing. Unless you're just predisposed and you have a genetic predisposition to having high blood pressure, it shouldn't even be a thing that you worry about. So,
and if you want to learn more about it, I don't know if you read it, Will. I have, and it's really good. There's a book by Dr. James D. Nicolantonio. And I nailed it. I think I nailed it, dude.
Dang, are you Italian?
Is he your best friend or something? Damn.
It's called The Salt Fix.
The salt, dude. I'm gonna get that.
It's called The Salt Fix: Why the Experts Got It All Wrong and How Eating More Might Save Your Life. And and it's great. It just kind of lays out the facts and then gives some simple recommendations, which are eat mostly unprocessed foods and salt to taste. Like it's as simple as that.
Boom.
So
I'm more of a savory than sweet kind of person.
Yeah.
So that kind of bodes well for me.
Yep. So there you go. Speaking on salt, so I know one thing we were talking about before we came on air while we're on nutrition is we had a question in our Facebook group about kind of like, hey, like, should I try to eat 6 meals a day, stoke the metabolism, and that whole thing. And basically that's a myth too, kind of falls in with the salt. So the theory used to be like, when you eat, it kind of like raises your metabolism. Your body has to digest food, which elevates your body heat a little, which burns a little more calories. But
it does, but it's such a small degree that it doesn't matter.
Right, and it's related to the total impact of the meal, right? So if you have a little 200-calorie meal, it's just turning the dial up a little bit, right?
Yep.
You have an 800-calorie meal, you're turning that dial up a lot, right? So ultimately, when calories are equal, so if you're eating 2,000 calories in the day, whether you have 2 meals that are 1,000 calories each, or you break it into 6 meals that are like 300 calories, it's the same effect. It doesn't matter. Like meal frequency is irrelevant in that regard. Mm-hmm. Now, where it does matter is, hey, like what can help you eat the 2,000 calories consistently and sustainability. Y'all know what I mean. So, and that's the thing, right? Like, how do I take in the correct total amount, and you know what's realistic? So for some people, it's hey, like it's 2 meals or 1 meal. For some people, it's 5 or 6. What we recommend is it's kind of like a bell curve, right? Like most people are going to be in the middle, three meals a day. Like you don't go too long without eating. You know, you could have decent sized meals. That's a good place to start. But then from there, like experiment. What most people find with the 6 meals a day is 2 things we've noticed with clients is it's super hard to prepare. Like that's a lot of food to prepare. And then, so then if you don't prepare all those meals, you're going to end up snacking a lot, right? Yep. And then that's just more opportunity to overeat and go hit over your total calorie mark, right?
Yep. And then you're just always hungry.
Yep.
Like
so
if I had to eat 6 meals, what I eat in my normal meals, like I would just hate myself all day because I would just be constantly hungry and not satisfied.
And the smaller you get, I think like for ladies and stuff, especially if you're petite, like I think it's even harder, right? Because then you're having like 200 calorie meals, like that's nothing, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's awful. Like if you're having chicken and we'll go like bro when they used to do like 6 meals of like chicken and rice or whatever. Dude, imagine if you're like a 120-pound chick and you're trying to eat 6 meals a day. How much chicken and rice is that at every meal? You're getting like 2 ounces of chicken and like 1/8 of a cup of rice.
It's just sad, enough to be sad every time you eat.
It's like 3 bites.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a little like going to the sample counters at Costco and like that's your meal. Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So like,
I was gonna say I already feel like I spend enough time on food, like having more prep probably, and then sit down, eat 6 times.
Yeah, I don't have time for that, my dad.
Oh my gosh, I can see like the benefits, but like the time constraint right there just throws that out for me.
Yeah. We should hey a round table. How many times a week or how many times a day do we all eat?
Like 2 solid meals and then like a snack, like a chicken breast or a smoothie or something. Yeah.
A chicken breast snack.
Y'all don't have chicken breast snack?
Hey, I'm gonna interject real quick.
Wait, what?
We were at the One City Marathon this past weekend. We had a water station, and everyone's just like sipping coffee and whatever, and it's cold and whatever. And dude, what do you know? Ben goes to the car, comes back with a giant turkey breast, and he's just digging into it. And like, cause you know Ben's a generous soul, just offering people a bite. Just this big hunk of meat, passing it around, and people are diving in and just taking chunks. It was the best thing ever.
I want to take Ben to a Virginia Tech game so he can just munch on a turkey leg.
Oh, dude, he would bring his own turkey breast.
Yeah. It's like a huge like.
Drumstick.
Yeah, I heard about those, man.
I think they have those at Busch Gardens.
Yeah,
do they?
They're expensive. It's like $15 for
It's got to be.
Dang.
You're gonna eat a whole chicken for this.
Yeah. All right. So Ben, you do 2 big meals.
2 big meals, a little snack or something.
I mean,
so 3 feedings a day.
Yeah. So for me, like it depends. Some like most days it'll be 2 big meals, and then some days I'll have like a protein shake like on top of that if I'm if I actually do get hungry in between, but it usually doesn't happen. So 2 to 3 for me, and I'm good.
Yeah, I'm at 3, but you could argue that I'm at 1 meal and 2 snacks because
small.
You know, it's like, what do you really want to call them? I just call everything a meal, but like I have small meals for breakfast and lunch, and then a big meal for dinner. What about you, Herb?
I'm just on 3 squares.
Boom.
Yeah,
3 squares.
I can't go without missing breakfast now. It's pretty necessary.
So let's
train in the morning too.
Mm-hmm. And let's touch on that, right? Like, so breakfast isn't like if you skip it, like it messes you up. Because again, we just established like meal frequency and timing doesn't really matter.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late. So having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop, mixed in water, once a day, and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
But where it does matter, especially breakfast, is for some people, if they start their day with a good breakfast, like that habit, it's a trigger, right? To like, oh, I made a good decision, I got a good start, and then the rest of their day falls into place a little better, right? So that's where breakfast can be super important. And really breakfast, it means breaking the fast. It's like, it's whatever your first meal is. Like if you have it at 8 a.m. or 12, it's still breakfast, you know?
Break fast.
Break fast.
Exactly. Like
What?
my-
It's like that's like when I figured like cooperative.
Yeah.
It's the same moment, like co-operative to get work together. I mean, breakfast.
I didn't.
Breaking the fast.
Breaking
Breakfast.
the fast.
I never thought about cooperative like
Brilliant.
that.
That one got me, like similar to this one.
Sleep on that tonight.
It just
Yeah,
took-
yeah.
it took
Like
two
my
words to
breakfast
put
is
it
usually
together.
like after I train at like 11 or 12. So whatever time it is that your first meal is, it doesn't really matter. And then you know what? I'm gonna touch on this because it's something funny that I think people feel they have to do. You don't have to eat breakfast foods for breakfast. Like that's not a
Boom.
thing. Your body doesn't care if it's eating eggs or steak for breakfast.
Yeah.
So some people struggle with that. They're like, man, I hate eggs. All right, well then don't eat them for breakfast if you just hate them. You can have a chicken breast. You can have a shake. You can have, 8 ounces of ribeye. You can have whatever you want, as long as you're getting like your protein. So, don't feel shoehorned into like, oh, I have these certain foods I have to have at breakfast, and these certain lunch foods, and these certain dinner foods. It's all the same. It's all food.
So I got a
Just
question about that. Is the actual like environment of your stomach like different in the morning, or is it literally just, oh, that sounds weird and I'm gonna get sick when I think about it?
I don't know.
It's a mental thing. It's all mental.
Yeah.
Is it
you know?
mental? Because yeah.
I was just gonna say, for me, once I had breakfast for dinner was like
Yeah.
mind blowing.
You know what,
I
though?
have at night. You're like, huh, this is delicious.
You know what though?
Wait,
I
this
always
is
feel
okay.
like breakfast for dinner is
Like you're
better than
allowed- yeah.
breakfast for breakfast.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm more awake.
That's what
or
that's what I'm trying to
hungry,
understand.
but
Yeah, like,
damn,
Yeah.
is it good?
Bacon does not care what time it's
No, it
eaten.
doesn't.
No,
Bacon
it
doesn't
does.
care. It's gonna be good any time of the day.
that's I think everything
Putting it on
from-
sandwiches and stuff. This is a whole
Yeah,
whole different ballgame.
exactly. It's an enhancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is fun. So Ben, back to what you said, like that is crazy, right? It's crazy. And we talked about this with me being a picky eater, right? Like how mental it is. Because think about this, like food is just fuel. Like we need it to live, right? And you know how people are like, oh, I crave, and it's always something real specific. Like I gotta have a Twinkie, right? But like, think about if you were born in some hut and some island and you didn't have access to the rest of the world. Like you would never crave a Twinkie because you literally didn't know it existed. You know?
Exactly.
Probably
Like,
sugar.
Or if you had never had a pancake for breakfast, you would never think I have to have a pancake for breakfast because you wouldn't even know that existed, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like as a basic human, like all of that stuff is mental because it's just not, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not wired to have a
fuel
Twinkie.
needs. You have fuel needs.
Yeah, a
and-
Twinkie
and-
is just-
and subconsciously you basically go fuel need, carb, sugar, processed
Exactly,
sugar,
yeah.
Twinkie, like before you even know it.
Yeah, and not even processed sugar, regular like carb sugar. I mean, fat, protein, carb. You know, like those are what
Right.
we crave. Now,
Especially in that perfect ratio
But
too.
that's
yeah. Now here's the thing, right? So sugar is a more concentrated source, right? It's like super calorie dense. So if you're like dieting and you're in a super calorie deficit, your body is naturally gonna want more concentrated source. It's going to be attracted to a more concentrated source, right? So that is why we crave sugar like that. So yeah, and ultimately, yeah, it's all mental, you know. So
I will say for me, like processed food was the very first thing to go.
Yeah.
And
it has to be, yeah.
Yeah, and then second was the idle snacking. Like we had a couple sessions where we talked about nutrition, same with, and it was just like, you know, why am I snacking on something? I'd rather save it for more food at lunch or
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard to realize, like, do I even need this? Like, that's something like a lot of people, it's just, you do it and you don't even really think about it. And then when you actually think, like, damn, do I need this right now? Or am I just doing this just because, like, I'm bored or I just kind of, just want to have some extra food? So,
Yeah.
Somewhere in the evolutionary process, we're like, we need to store up for later.
Yeah.
We need to store up for later. We need to store up for later. Like we don't know when our next meal is going to get. So let me get this concentrated carb source to get me through at least what I think and to survive. And that's just understanding now, like, we can prep our meals and we're going to be fine with the week as long as we got nice, steady jobs. We're going to be able to pay for it next week.
Yeah.
So actually sparsing it out and allowing for this, even the minor discomforts of not completely, like, that's really what longevity gets you your goals faster.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what you just said is, like, that's the thing people have to understand. Like, you're not wrong for having cravings and, like, loving processed food, because that's how our brains are still our brains are still the same as the past, to where our biggest struggle back then was getting enough food to survive, right? Now, dude, more people die from obesity than from starvation. Isn't that great? Like, we've completely flip-flopped it. So now we have the same brain that thinks we need to prevent ourselves from starving, but we're in a world where food abundance.
Yep.
Right.
And it's like we're like, you're fighting against that, like that brain where it's like, oh, like we need to get food, and so that's where that, like, craving and stuff comes from, and just you have to put it in perspective.
And like fast food, for example, if you haven't had it for a long time and you reintroduce it to your system,
doesn't do very well.
What in the hell is this?
What did you do? Get out of me.
Eat plastic?
And it's always going to be at a time where it's not convenient.
Oh, yeah, like you're out and about, you grab some
You're
fast
like,
food, you're like, man, I gotta get home.
Hey, and let's use that to help explain it to people, right? Like, when we say processed food, like what you're working against, right? So I think a good way to explain it is, let's take a food like coffee, for example, right? So when you ask them if they like coffee, they're like, yeah. And then you're like, well, do you like black coffee? Oh, no. So you don't but then when you add cream and sugar to coffee, all of a sudden it's super delicious, right?
Carbs.
Fat and carbs. Dude, that
sugar.
Yeah.
that just one example basically explains our entire food system now. What do? Okay, let's take a potato. Do people love potatoes by themselves? It's all right, right? It's a potato. But when you fry it in oil, put some sugar or put some salt on it, then boom, French fries, they're amazing. Or you take a baked potato and you put some sour cream on it, cheese, like all of a sudden, boom, you're adding fat, you're adding food reward. It's amazing. It's easy to overconsume, right? So that's what you're dealing with processed food, is like these foods that are literally engineered to make our brains just like fireworks go off,
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's why it's got to be one that you do tackle. Like, that's a big rock for a lot of people, and getting that out solves a lot. It helps.
And it's funny, and you know what? Figuring that out for yourself is different for everyone. Honestly, the way that Herb talked about how he does it is the best way, but most people can't. They struggle with that. Like, to be able to go to a birthday party and be like, instead of having 6 pieces of cake, just having 1. Like, that's all you have to do. If you eat whole food majority of the time and just be sensible with your indulgences, you'll be good.
Yep.
But some people struggle with that, so they might need to journal or diary or track just so they have more accountability. It's finding for yourself whatever. You have to take some accountability for your food intake, or it's a losing battle.
Yeah.
So it's literally just figuring out like what for yourself keeps you accountable, and then doing that. Just taking some kind of control.
I have a long-standing membership as part of the Clean Plate Club.
Yeah.
So,
I'm right there with you.
Yep. Same.
I've always been trained to like if it's on your plate, smash
Yeah,
it,
eat it.
and then like
Right.
pretty much where you just have to rinse it off. You don't even have to use soap to, to
Yeah.
get it back in the mix. But that's gross. I'm just kidding. But so yeah, like don't put it on your plate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Dude.
don't do that, and then you know
Yeah.
you'll be straight.
It's as simple as
set
that.
yourself up with a smaller portion.
Yeah, and if somebody, says, "Hey, eat this piece of cake," because we're handing it out to everybody, well, I'll take a bite and then probably just throw it away unless you want it.
Yeah, exactly. That's good, man. I like that. You know who's never been a member of the Clean Plate Club? Ben?
Old
Neurotically
sweat, man.
against
Dude,
the complete clean plate club.
Load it up. Stop when you're done. That's the.
The only person I've ever met that intrinsically just does that. And like that's
That's your snack.
okay,
That's your
okay.
snack,
how
bro.
it is.
That's
okay,
your, that's where it
different.
comes
That's
from.
different. I have this mentality that if it's not, done, I'm not gonna save it.
Yeah.
Like that's it right
Yeah,
there.
same.
Unless,
I did have
like
to
I'm
get
cooking
over-
a huge meal and then there's leftovers.
Well,
I had to
but
get
that's
over-
like
I
you
did have to get over
overdo
that
it to where
hump.
you're like, I'm not eating 3 pounds of ground beef in this one
Yeah,
sitting.
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly,
it's
exactly.
get rationed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're putting it away for a snack later, then that totally makes sense.
And dude, that would always get me. And I've gotten a lot better with this. Like when I'd go out to eat, I would have to finish everything at
Oh
once.
yeah.
Have to. Absolutely. Like I'm paying for it. I gotta finish it. And now I've gotten a lot better to where I could eat half and be okay.
Yeah.
And maybe take it home or maybe even not. Like maybe just eat half. I'm full. I'm done. That's it. I'm
Conveniently forget.
Yeah.
Your to-go plate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I know, like,
yeah,
so like when you
that's a
go,
tough one.
you guys go out to eat. Well, I don't know. Just when you eat in general, do you have to eat like one thing after the other, or do you like to mix it up? So like
Dude,
if you have like a
90%
burger
of
fries.
my meals are just in bowls. So
Yeah,
I just mix everything up.
Okay,
I
'cause
gotta go one at a time. Actually,
go one at a time?
Especially you go out and you have like this thing. Dude, I cannot.
So if
mix
you got
that.
like a burger and fries and we'll say like broccoli.
I would much rather just finish the burger, probably go to the brock, and then hit the fries.
See, dude, I
Oh.
just do it all. I have like a
yeah.
bite of my burger.
I'm the same
a little
way, man.
fry, and then a bite of broccoli.
What about your palate?
What is a palate?
What is that?
When you taste one thing, then you taste the other thing.
Oh, it's enhancing it every time.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Like it
All
just
together
builds-
Broccoli
is
doesn't
the
make
complete
fries
picture.
better, does
No,
it?
no, it just builds on itself, man.
All right.
Yeah. It's a risk you got to take, man. Maybe open your doors a little bit.
Fry broccoli.
Yeah,
Like that?
maybe-
Wow.
hey, you know what, man? That might make your life a little better.
That was the intent.
So,
I might be missing something.
Oh man, I could never understand like when somebody would just eat their fries and then smash those. I'm like, what if you don't have enough room for the burger?
Yeah.
Like, what do you get?
Yeah.
exactly. Like you gotta make sure you got room for the most
Yeah,
important
you mix
thing.
it up, but you finish the premium stuff and you leave
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be like eating.
You
like,
go
your
entrees,
baked potato and
But that's
your-
why fries are last,
and your
though.
veggies before you eat your ribeye that you ordered.
Nah, that
Like,
hurts.
burn it all on the ribeye and everything
Yeah.
else falls by the wayside.
Exactly.
That's
There's
the
some
most
collateral
important
damage
part.
that can happen, but I never
Yeah.
want the main stuff to get taken care of.
Yeah, like if I don't eat if I eat half a potato, it's not gonna ruin my day. But if I order a ribeye and I'll eat half of it because I'm
that
full,
is sad.
I'll be
Yeah.
pissed off, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, you got to go entree, side dish. Like
yeah, of course.
if you go
Even
side
though
dish, entree.
I'm not sure I
something.
trust them.
Mm.
I might be dating that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll have to investigate next time we go out to eat. She's gonna grill me for saying something about her on the podcast again, but whatever.
What I love about this though is like it's there's 4 of us and there's 4 different approaches with how we handle our eating, and that's important for listeners. Like everyone wants there to be this like just real clean, super cut and dry answer to everything. And it's just
No one
not.
size fits all.
Like again, like we've talked about this a million times. Like I know me, like if I make 5 cups of rice, like I'll eat 5 cups of rice. If I make 3, I'll eat 3. So if I have a certain goal or need to eat a certain amount of food, it's important for me just to make the amount that I need to eat or I'll overeat, right? Whereas Ben, again, can just stop his food and save it for later, and neither is right, neither is wrong,
Yep.
It's like what
It's like,
works
what
for
works
you.
for you. It's the same thing with
So-
training, man. Some people are like, well, how many days a week should I do? I mean, what can you sustain and recover from? Like, what could you keep up to where you could do this all the time?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you
And-
can-
I was gonna say for that person that's just not accepting, like, yes, there's gray area. Like, if you really need something, I think y'all just nailed it. Like, what can you sustain?
Yeah.
Answer
Yeah.
that question. What could you do, like, pretty much for the rest of your life, or at least for a long period of time? If you can answer that with something, you probably just need to do that. And then if you don't like where you ended up, that's when you switch it, and you actually have the motivation to switch it, that's half the battle too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's that's a good check-in question for anything, really. If you're looking for,
you sustain
actual change in
Yep.
anything, like, can I sustain the change I'm about to make or the way I'm going to do this.
That's awesome.
And if not, if it's so hardcore that you're like, dude, I couldn't do this forever, then maybe, scale it back a little bit so you could actually keep doing it. Because that's what matters. The effectiveness of something really is married to how consistent you are rather than how like effective the actual thing is like, on paper.
Yep.
I definitely appreciate the bad stuff so much more. Like when I do allow, myself to have it or whatever, it's like, man, this is good. But I don't need to go ham.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Which
treats.
is cool though.
Had
like,
it.
That's huge. Like that's where you want to get to. But yeah, if you have it all the time, then it's just, this is just normal. It's
you
just
definitely
kind of
have to change the norm.
Yeah, it's not like it's a little more of a peak if you don't have it a long time and you really enjoy it. But then you go a good bit of time with eating your normal food, and then you can really enjoy it a lot more, not doing it all the time.
Yeah. And part of that's because there was a little bit of sacrifice for it, right? Kind of like that. Did you see that email I had the other day? Like, what if all you had to do was take an elevator to climb Mount Everest, right? Like, would it be that rewarding of an experience? Like, no, because there's no struggle. So when you like eat healthy and maybe you say no a couple times during the week to the office donut, then you get to the weekend and it's brunch. Like, it's going to be more enjoyable in part because you haven't had it in a while, but also because, there was some sacrifice to get to that point, and so you feel more satisfied from it,
Yep. No, that's a good point. I really like that.
So, and spinning back to Will, you mentioned training and like figuring that out, like how much should I train? In my experience, though, the problem with that is people like, you have blinders about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like
for sure. Yeah.
That's where having a coach comes in, right? Like because a coach can subjectively say like, hey, like you're not recovering, or you're overtraining, or they can see your performance dip or drop or your mood.
That's a conversation we have with people, and I'm glad like we can have that conversation. Like I have no problem telling somebody you're doing too much, and it's good to be able to do that because there's some places like. Nobody's telling you you're doing too much, and that might be the reason why you feel like crap or you're not, getting leaner or whatever it may be, whatever your goal is. It's just you're doing so much that you're beating yourself down. So, like I'd like to see everybody. I wish everyone was here 6 days a week just to hang out, but, I don't want you to get beat down. And that's why, like, it is a benefit to have coaches like us that are going to tell you that and have that hard conversation of, chill out.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, I mean we all are, and that's why
we all do it. It's like no one's
like,
gonna.
Hey, man, calm down a little bit.
Well, it's just like when you're trying to sustain your cardio, like you want to get to that point of like not too high, not too low. So I'm really just trying to find that medium ground where I just keep going. It's like
when you cross that line, it's really hard to come back.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, if I go, the maximum amount of days per week, that's kind of where the zone that I want to stay in. Like I don't want to.
So basically, you're bringing your intensity down a little bit overall,
which
I guess smart. That's actually that's a really good way to.
That's a great rule of thumb. Typically, if you want to train more frequently, you need to train less intensely.
Yep.
Right. If you want to train more intense, you need to train less frequent.
Yep. Exactly.
That way, you never cross that line.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know for me, like what I've learned kind of intuitively over the years is like, you'll know when you've crossed the line. I know you'll start having to where like you don't look forward to training, like it's this weird like subconscious feeling of, and you won't even notice it at first, but you'll realize like, oh, it's workout time. You'll have to be like, oh, 10 more minutes and I'll leave for the gym, or 15 minutes or you know what, I'm going to read this article and then you miss the gym or whatever. Yep. Like that is your body trying to slow you down and make you less active because the balance is off, You
know what else too, like coinciding with that, your body will we all have like patterns like that cause pain. Your body usually will throw 2 or 3 at you at the same time, where normally it's just dealing with the one and you got a pattern you're fighting against. When people cross the line in here, I can always tell because they're like, well, my shoulder thing, but now my knee's starting to act up, and my my low back's a little funny. It's like there you've crossed the line.
Yep.
Your body can't even manage the one pattern. It can't even focus to help the one pattern. Mm-hmm. That's definitely, if you feel more than one pain or ache, you're probably pushing it too far.
Yep, in some way.
Yep. Ben, I read this article out to find it. It's like where they're almost connecting more and more, and they do, with athletes and stuff, to where you could almost say like 8, and obviously you have like blunt trauma injuries, you know, like you're a football player, but like most injuries like in the gym and stuff are literally because people are in that zone, right, beyond their capability of recovery, and that is when injuries happen. And literally an injury is your body trying to just stop you from going any further and doing more damage, you know? So while the injury feels like, oh my God, this is the worst thing, this is the damage, that was actually your body's way almost of saying like, dude, like chill, you know? And that's what happens.
And locking down a joint and keeping it safe.
Yeah.
You know,
Your nervous system takes a lot of energy to coordinate these movements. It really pieces it together. So when you're doing your slow and controlled movements, more body, not going into that zone, your body's able to coordinate it, usually like pain-free, as long as you don't have something crazy. But you're right. You take yourself over that line where you're actually in that state of mind. Your nervous system's going crazy. Being able to actually put it together and coordinate it, it starts shutting down. It starts coming up with really, really weird strategies, and then that's when you get that weird ass knee thing from your shoulder issue. Because it's just your body's coming up with weird stuff. Yeah.
So, and again, it's all about your situation, right? If you're an athlete training for the Olympics and like you're pushing towards this deadline, and like the reward is riches and gold medals and immortality, like that's, hey, dude, go for it. But if you're like trying to lose 12 pounds and lower your cholesterol and you still have kids and you have to go to work, like, you should probably chill out, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you need to be able to walk tomorrow.
Chase that one down or whatever too, right?
And it's just that's the whole problem with like the Instagram world, right? You can get on and literally see that person who's going for gold and what they're doing, and then and be like, I want to do that, you know, but that's not your reality, you know? So it's like, that's why we always try to put out that message. Like, it's okay to just be average in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like be the best, like worker outer that's also a husband and a father and wants to show up at work and make a living. Like, you balance all those things. Like, be that best person. Like, you don't have to train like the NFL person or the CrossFit Open champions or the elite power lifters. You know, like be like you and what your responsibilities are. You know.
It's like the same thing with like nutrition, you know, doing the small tweaks. You know, I feel like that same way with exercise. You keep raising that average, and then you eventually start to reach some of those goals that you want to reach. Like, you know, I had that goal of, you know, doing a muscle up, and I haven't actually been working on it, but I'm way closer than I ever was.
Oh yeah. And
the residual effects of like, you know, even working on some more pull-ups, definitely more
doing your push-ups, it actually the next time you actually get up to use those triceps, it actually it pushes you farther.
Right. So I mean, there's no pressure for me to do that. I'm not putting any pressure on myself, but it's definitely a goal that I had. Yeah. And I was like, well, if I fall short, I'm still be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, like you've done a lot better.
Yeah. It's like, you know, 6-pack is the goal. I was like, oh, if I fall short of that, I'm still gonna have a pretty lean.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be lean.
Like, oh.
There's something about setting a goal but not fixating on the results. It leans you toward it, and you start doing these things. You put together these things, but you're not actually obsessing over, is it there yet? Am I doing it? Like testing your muscle up every single time. I mean, at the very least, it could be frustrating. But
I feel like the frustration from that is like the worst thing you can do. Yeah. When you're constantly stressed and overate, whether it's nutrition or training, over not getting to a goal. Dude, that just wrecks you. That wrecks your progress completely. Yeah. So just being okay with progressing a little bit is key, man. Like,
that's a really great.
It's one of the biggest things, and you know, like that stress of, oh, I'm not there yet. It's the worst. Yeah. You know.
And you want to stay open-minded to every way to reach that goal, right? Like Herb, you talked about a muscle up. Well, little did you know, like by just working on those nutrition habits is helping you towards getting a muscle up, because typically you have to be lean, you know, a certain leanness, and you want as little body fat as possible is going to make doing a muscle up easier, you know? Yeah. So it's funny, a lot of people will focus on something like a pull up or muscle up and just want to practice doing a pull up or muscle up all the time, when in actuality, like losing 10 pounds would help way more than practicing the exercise at a certain point, you know? So it's really just, like having that big outcome goal, but then not putting so much pressure on yourself about it.
Yeah, so I mean, it took me a year to get, you know, where I am now, and I'm for sure satisfied. So I'm like, if I keep this up,
and a year's not even a long time.
Where's the limit? Where's the wall? Exactly. I mean, you don't know.
Right.
But then going about it in the right way, like just slowly chugging along. Like, where are you going to be at a year from now?
Yeah.
You know, with that attitude, like, you're going to be doing
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely.
So that's a cool way to look at it, rather than like putting so much pressure and a deadline for a year, and if you don't hit it, you're pissed and you hate everything. Well, you know, that's just going to set you back. So, yeah.
And here's the beauty of it all, Herb, is like, you know, we have these short-term things, but in actuality, like most of us, our number one goal is like health. And while you're doing all this, like you're the 34-year-old you, if you stick with it, the 54-year-old you will be the same, which is the ultimate goal, right? Like, could you imagine if you weren't working on any of it and you just had let it ride, and then your 12 pant size is bigger when you're 54 and have a bunch, you know, going on? So that's the other thing too. People forget not only like setting goals of what you want to accomplish, but always remember and reflect on what you're also like reversing, you know, or not going towards, you know.
Yeah, so like this past year, like both of my dads had some, you know, my dad and my father-in-law had some health issues, and I was like, man, I got 2 small kids. I'm not like terrible or anything like that, but I mean, if I keep going down this path, it's only going to continually get worse. So, you know, I feel like it's very much a responsibility to my kids that, you know, I stop messing around and, you know, try and take some of this stuff at least even a little bit seriously, and just get that ball rolling and see what it takes me, and you know,
and the
feel
ball's
like
still rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I made some pretty good gains, and definitely happy with my progress.
Yeah, no, you've been killing it, man. It's been cool. It's been cool to see that gradual just getting better, rather than just like beast mode out of the gate. You just you did what you could, man, and that's what matters.
Oh, I mean, like our first couple workouts are pretty humbling. I think I was like on the tail end of a 6 week, and you know, that's where it gets really ramped up. And I'd done my first ladder, and I was...
It was the ladder. I remember that ladder.
I was like, what is that? Why is it... What? That's so much. And I remember sitting in the car like... I underestimated this place completely.
Yeah.
And then 2, I don't know if I'm going to walk later. I can barely drive. Yeah. And then the third thing was like, man, I'm so motivated to beat these workouts up when I do come here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just having that mentality... You know, I'm maybe not the most talkative person, but I like this hour for me a day is like for me to zone in, you know, kind of not be dad, not be husband, not be adult, you know. I could just zone in for an hour.
Be Herb.
Herb.
Be Herb, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like it adds a lot of balance for me personally, like in life. Like I never knew like how much like having something consistent for myself for an hour a day even is just been great, you know.
Yeah, and it helps you be better in every other aspect, right? Like being a husband and a dad, like it bleeds over, I feel, and that's important, man.
Absolutely.
And not enough people take that time for themselves, you know. And I get it. Like when you have kids and a family and a lot of responsibility, it's easy to kind of forego yourself for other people, but remembering like you got to be there for them and do your best. And if you're not, then you know, you're kind of taken away from that.
And I mean, a lot of the stuff that we focus, like, we don't have, like, super complicated equipment, you know? Like, this is, like, the kind of workouts that travel well. So, like, I travel a lot for work, and, you know, I find myself in these hotel gyms and whatnot, and I'm able to do things that I never would have done in a gym by myself before. Or even in, like, you know, just in the hotel room. Like, you know, I do burpees and squats.
Yeah.
I'm worked out.
Right,
exactly.
right.
And
I'm maxed out. It
Like,
took me 20 minutes or whatever, and I'm good.
And that's good. And that's what
Check
actually
that
want
box.
too. Like, not only like telling people like what to do in here, but like teaching people like how to do things like that when they, you know, travel. Like,
huge.
yeah, that's big. Like, I mean, my girlfriend traveling in Panama right now, just basically pieced together a workout from what she remembers that we do in here, and ended up being like perfect, you know. And she just did it kind of off of what she's learned. So people being able to do that for us, like, you know, we're always pumped about that. You know, we want people to actually learn from the way we do things.
Absolutely. I think the toughest thing, right, is trying to remember all the stuff and then put it together. And that's where
It is.
you know, having these workouts that you guys, you know, come up with us is huge.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, even when we're away or when I'm away, you know, I've reached out to you guys for workouts, and I'm able to pull those off. And if I do find myself in a gym that's got some pretty cool stuff, I'm like, hey,
let's try some of this room stuff.
Yeah. Nah, that's cool. Like, that's the fun part, man. Being able to explore a little bit and whatnot. So yeah, that's That's cool.
All right. I think this one is jam-packed.
Yeah, damn. We just packed up 54
think we can-
minutes.
We can
Is that
bottle
new
it.
high- is that new
Bottle
high
it up.
score?
That's
It's up
close,
there.
man.
He's-
Yeah,
That was quick.
Herb, this is not a buffet. This is
I'm sure people
he's just trying. He's just
Oh,
trying
dude,
to
yeah, you're gonna get it, dude.
eat minutes
That's
up.
Oh, man.
That's right.
Hey, we'll have to hit the all-you-can-eat sushi. I can throw down on some sushi.
Oh, yeah. When you get back, man, we'll hit it up.
55 pieces is my PR.
Oh,
55.
damn.
Yeah,
Is that
and then
like?
a lot.
Is that just the
just
with the rice, the sushi? Not
yeah, sushi with rice. Yeah,
Okay.
and like and when it's sitting on the little, it's that's basically roll pieces and then like little Nigiri, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I guess so. The
Where it's on the
sashimi.
rice.
Where the piece of fish is on the rice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like at those places, I just peel off the fish.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not charging me full price. Peel that little sliver off. And keep
Nah.
the rice aside.
Now there's a place in Kiln Creek where it's $24, unlimited, all you can eat sushi.
We haven't been to that place. We got Sushi King down the street that we went to, which
Yeah,
all
it's
you
all
can
right.
eat.
The other places is a little higher end, so
Yeah,
I trust
we'll
it
have to hit
more.
that up. We'll go shut
Yeah.
it down one night.
Man, those
So.
made to order buffets are brilliant. Like, cuts down on all the waste. And
Yep. It's
They
genius.
say they charge you for like the stuff you don't eat, so you're kind of scared to go ham.
I've never been charged. But I usually eat when I
There's
eat.
a whole roll there. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna eat that.
Excellent. All right. Well, signing on out. Till next week. We'll hit us with your questions. We love questions. We love when you give us an opportunity to let Ben express his wonderful mind.
I'm just all bottled up over here.
Yep.
All bottled up. All right.
Bottled up.
Holla back.
Later.
Shit, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.